We are going to factor using GCF. Remember that GCF means the greatest common factor. So let's look at these three numbers, 3, 18, and 15. So I'm going to write down the factors for each of these. The factors of 3 are 1 and 3. Factors of 18 are 1 and 18, 2 and 9, and 3 and 6. And the factors of 15 are 1 and 15, and 3 and 5. Now in order to find the greatest common factor, I'm going to find out the greatest number that they all have in common. They have a 3, and a 3, which is the greatest number. So the greatest number, or greatest common factor of these three numbers is 3. Now let's look at x's. I have 4 x's on this first one, 3 x's on the second one, and 1 x on the third one. So I need to ask myself how many x's or how many rows of x's do they have in common? They have 1x. So I would write that as x to the 1. Now let's go ahead and combine the knowledge that we just learned into this type of problem. So again, we are going to list the factors of 3, 1 and 3, list the factors of 15, 1 and 15, 3 and 5, and list the factors of 18, 1 and 18, 2 and 9, and 3 and 6. Now I'm going to list the x's. I have 3 x's, 2 x's, and 1 x. So let's go ahead and do the greatest common factor. The biggest number that they all have is a 3. I can cross off one full row of x's. So I factor out my greatest common factor of 3 and my x to the 1. Now I'm going to write what I have left. If I took out the 3, I have a 1 left. I have 2 x's in the first row. Now if I take out the 3 here, I'm left with 5 and 1 x. Now if I take out the 3, I'm left with 6 and no x's. So I just close my parenthesis. Let's do the same thing here. Factor is 1 and 14, 2 and 7. Of 7, it's 1 and 7. Now let's do my x's. I have 2 x's with the 14 and no x's with the 7. My greatest common factor for numbers is 7. And there are no x's in common, so I can't cross off any. So I'm going to factor out my greatest common factor of 7 and start my parentheses. With the 7 is a 2, and I have x squared left. Plus, if I factored out a 7 already, I still have a 1 left.